definitely fun. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a Toyota Tacoma TRD with the 6-speed manual transmission. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Toyota here in Murray for giving me some time with this Tacoma. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Now under the hood we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 6-speed manual transmission. Power outputs are 278 horsepower and then 265 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of this Tacoma quickly. So first off, this one is the TRD, so you just have the regular Tacoma hood, and then we've got the halogen lights here, and then we've got the fog lights just down below that. And then notice that we've got the normal kind of Tacoma grille with the old school Toyota logo, and then you've got a sensor just down below the logo, and then we've got the higher clearance bumper, which looks really good here on the front end. And then I love the view there on the tire with the side. And yeah, other than that, that's everything for the front. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 65mm tires wrapped around 16-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then if you guys are wondering, these are method wheels. I think they look absolutely fantastic with the overall theme of this truck because you've got the gray of the truck and then you've got the bronze on the wheels. Overall, just looks really good. And then here's a quick look at the front in terms of the shock suspension, that whole setup right there. Basically, the only thing that's aftermarket on this truck is just the tire and wheel setup. Everything else is stock from there. And so you get the same shocks you get with a regular TRD Tacoma. And other than that, here's your full side view. And this is where you can really see that it just looks good. Now let's pop here into the bed area of the Tacoma. So first off, the payload capacity is about 950 pounds. And then notice that everything is covered here, so you don't have to worry about scraping any paint or anything like that. And then you do get an outlet here in the back, which is another nice touch. In terms of the space, it's actually pretty good for a mid-sized truck. This one does have the shorter length bed. You can get a longer bed than this on the Tacoma, and well, not too heavy. Now let's finish things up here in the rear. So we've got the normal Tacoma taillights, and then notice we've got our blacked out V6 badge so everyone knows that you have the bigger engine. And then we've got chrome bumpers. This is the only thing I think that doesn't necessarily match on this particular truck, but I mean, it's a pretty small element on it, so no complaints from me. We've got the exhaust tip there on the side, and again you've got your TRD 4x4 off-road badge, and here's kind of like your 3/4 angle. Now here's a door panel in the back, so notice that you've got the soft touch right here where you're actually going to rest your arm. And then here are the seats, so we've got these cloth seats. I love the patterns on the seats themselves. And then you do get a couple of cup holders back there. Rubber floor mats here for the rear, and well, that's pretty much all. So yeah. Now here's the door panel at the front. So again, we've got all this soft touch all along here. We've got our window controls, and then you've got your mirror adjustments on top of that. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, full cloth seats here. Got the really cool pattern all down the center. Seats are manually adjustable. More rubber floor mat action. You can see the 3-pedal layout since this is a manual. That's for the outlet there in the back. And then notice we've got our clutch start cancel. And then you've got that for the cargo light. And there's one more look before we pop in. Now here's the steering wheel in the Tacoma. So you've got leather at the top and the bottom, and then perforated leather here on the side where you're actually gonna grab it so you can get a little bit of a better grip. Cruise control stock is hiding there in the background. Got this for the pages there in the center. And then we've got this stuff right here. It's kind of like your safety text, like your lane keep assist, all that kind of stuff. And then over here on the other side, you've got your voice command, volume controls, all that kind of stuff, phone controls as well. Got your light turn signal stock. We've got our windshield wiper stock on the other side, and it's all for the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster here. So first off, we've got the RPMs on the left side. On the right side, we've got the speed. And then you've got a couple different menus that you can scroll through here in the center stack to give you different bits of information on the Tacoma. Notice average fuel economy has been 16.4 miles per gallon. And then the other important thing on this particular one is notice that the mileage here is 59,094 miles. Here's the center infotainment system. First off, I'll show you guys the reverse camera. So we just have to put the shifter all the way over. It'll pop it into reverse. There's your camera with the pretty good resolution and everything. Now, aside from that, with the rest of the infotainment system, it's actually relatively responsive with all of the buttons when you actually press them. It does kind of look a little bit more old school, but it does all the stuff you need it to do. You can listen to your music, Bluetooth, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and it's got circular vents on either side. We've got all of our climate controls here in this area, and then notice we've got a 12 volt right there, and then this is for the power sliding window in the back to open and close that whole situation. And this one does have heated seats here for the front, and we've got some extra storage right there, and also doubles as wireless phone charger. Here's the shifter. So it's a 6-speed manual. I'll talk about this more when we actually drive it, but you guys will notice we've got longer throws. If you're wanting reverses all the way over and then up, there's no push down or pull up for the reverse lockout. You just have to push it. Like, you can feel a difference. Like, look, this is first, and then that is reverse. So you definitely have to put a little bit more muscle into it to get over to reverse. So money shifting definitely be your fault. Got some cup holders here. We've got the e-brake, and then we've got the center console, and opening it up, pretty decent. Got some USBs inside of it. And then we have the glove box over here, and then we've got more of that kind of like soft touch rubber material that's on the dash, on the doors, all that kind of stuff. And then finishing things up here at the top. First off, here's the mirror, and then we've got the locker here for the rear. You've got your A-track, and then the stability control to turn those systems off if you want. And then we've got the sunglass holder, and then all black headliner. Now that we're done going over the interior, this particular Tacoma TRD is priced at about $42,000. If you want the most up-to-date pricing, in case you watch this video at a later date, again, check out Larry H. Miller Toyota Murray's inventory in the description below, but let's take her out and see how she drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off here in this Tacoma TRD with the manual. There's your visibility over the hood, and then here's throughout both of the mirrors, and then there's through the rest of the rear, and first gear, well, yeah. First gear, let's set off. So we are starting off here in the Tacoma TRD with the manual transmission, and let's actually talk about how this manual transmission is. And also taking a turn there, feels like a normal Tacoma, but this video is kind of mainly about the transmission, so let's actually talk about that. First off, in terms of the shifter feel itself, definitely unique in terms of like how you actually grab the shifter. Most manual transmission shifters are kind of more like a ball shape, whereas this is a rectangle, and so it's kind of just weird, the placement with your fingers and everything, but it feels right. Like it doesn't feel off or anything like that. I definitely like how it feels, and I feel like this is a good shape for a shifter that's as tall as this is, which you have to do that typically in trucks and SUVs versus sports cars, right? You have to have a little bit of a longer type shifter. Think something like, I recently reviewed that FJ Cruiser that had a manual, and then think also like a Jeep Wrangler or Jeep Gladiator, same sort of situation, or some old school trucks, right, that have the manuals. They always have the longer shifters, but overall it's great. In terms of the clutch feel, it's pretty light. Actually, I'd put it like in the middle. Like the clutch in my Focus RS is pretty heavy. This isn't nearly as heavy, but it's not super light like what you get in a Ford Mustang, for example, where the clutch is just crazy light, where you feel like you're not even pressing down on it. Yeah, turn-in's pretty good. Now we're gonna start at a second here. Definitely fun. Definitely fun. I don't know, there's just something about rolling the gears yourself, no matter what type of vehicle it is, it just makes it that much more exciting. Now, the one thing I do want to mention is I can vaguely, well, not vaguely, I can pretty vividly remember how quick that FJ felt, and this feels like it might be a little bit slower than that FJ with the manual transmission. I will also mention it doesn't seem like it's as blippable with the throttle. Now it's actually about the same speed. Yeah, it feels about the same. But yeah, I definitely will mention, like, when you try to rev match downshift with this, it's kind of, it would take a while to get used to this particular engine. I feel like they almost built this engine for an automatic transmission, then they just were like, hey, the Tacoma's got to have a manual, and so they still kind of stick it that way. Get it? Stick it. Anyways, my jokes are horrible because stick shift, but let's continue along here with this manual transmission. Again, all the points feel really good on it. This feels about, I would say, speed-wise, if you're wondering this compared to the automatic, because the automatic doesn't necessarily have the fastest shift points, this doesn't feel that much slower than the automatic, but because you're rolling the gears yourself, this might almost feel slightly quicker. But I'm sure that most of you guys are wondering the benefits of doing the manual transmission. Like, why would you do this over the automatic? So first off, driver engagement, that's big. This is gonna be a little bit more engaging compared to the automatic to drive on a regular basis. You'll have a little bit more fun with it. And I mean, obviously, if you're rolling the gears yourself, sometimes you can get slightly better fuel economy, but it's pretty much gonna be about the same with the Tacoma from what I've seen and read on the truck. And then aside from fuel economy and fun driving, I guess the other benefit to the manual transmission is if something goes wrong with this, right, the complexity of it's a little bit less expensive to replace than something with the automatic. But Toyota's automatics are so reliable. I mean, they're pretty much bulletproof. It's not really a concern. But let's get into the downsides of the manual transmission. Like, why would you not want this? First off is, yes, the fact you have to roll the gears yourself. So especially in high traffic areas, it's gonna be a little bit more on the annoying side. Now, this is a very easy manual transmission to drive, so it wouldn't be crazy annoying, but obviously automatics are always easier. And then from an off-roading perspective, with all of the tech that car manufacturers have, especially Toyota, obviously, automatics do better off-road, right? You can just do so much more, and the Tacoma has a bunch of really cool stuff off-road tech-wise, and so the automatic just destroys things off-road. And so that's definitely another kind of like downside here to the manual transmission is, I mean, you can do cool, fun off-roading, it's just that it won't be as good, or I would say just as capable as the automatic. And it does take a really high skill level to be able to off-road with a manual transmission. You can't be, you know, you can't be like a beginner driver with a manual transmission and off-road at the same time. You're just gonna stall it every other second, and it's not gonna be a good experience whatsoever. So I'd take that into account as well. But overall, the manual transmission here with the Tacoma, it makes it a little bit more exciting, and definitely it's a good manual transmission for a truck, but it does have its downsides. And I mean, there's a reason why most people buy the Tacomas in the automatic, but if you're looking for something a little bit different, then I would definitely try out the manual. Now let's get some things up for our video on this Tacoma TRD with the 6-speed manual. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larch Miller Toyota here in Murray for giving me some time with the Tacoma. Check out their inventory link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.